Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Zimbabwe Daily. My name is Yvonne Muchaka, and I do hope I find all of you well. Today, we have a veteran in the studio, and I know that you're all going to be inspired, but also encouraged to pursue, especially if you have a dream in the arts industry. Join me after this short break as I introduce to you today's guests. Right. So I want to introduce you our guest. I'm going to allow him to introduce himself. He's my father. Anonza CHIKONAMOMBE iwawo. So Baba wangu, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Yvonne. Maite Nyumara. My name is Stephen Tayengwa Chigorimbo Mashamombe. I am a filmmaker. I'm a businessman, and I'm a sports person.
Oh, wow.
I have been in the film business quite a while. I can say the first film I was on was in 1974, which is a few years ago.
A few, yeah.
It's a few years,
1974. This is even before independence.
Before independence.
Right.
Yeah.
Which one was this one?
Now, this film I was in was, the working title was called Whispering Death. It's now known as, you can go online and look for The Albino. Right. That's the film. The main star of that movie was Christopher Lee. He passed on a few years ago, but he was well known for playing Dracula. Yes, that was the first film I was in 1974. Since that time up to now, I've been in almost 200 productions. Wow. Close to 200. In the early years, most of the productions I was involved with were international productions, coming from the UK, from the Americas. Some of the productions that I was involved with that you would know from, let's talk international productions, that Whispering Death was actually a British production. Right. I did, after that, another one. The director was a German. He's still alive, thank God. Jürgen Goslar is a German director. He's in his 90s now. I did Slavers, but then I went on to do films like King Solomon's Mines, right, with Sharon Stone and Richard Chamberlain for what was then Canon Productions. Right. I went on to do productions with BBC. Funny enough, one of the productions was on something, it was called Lassa Fever, which was just another, now we've got COVID-19. Right. It's really a replay of Lassa Fever, which was based on this fever outbreak happened in Nigeria in the 60s. Right. Yeah, Lassa Fever. I went on to do several other BBC productions, maybe internationally. The two that I'm known mostly about are Cry Freedom, the Steve Biko story. Right, with Denzel Washington. Right. The one that brought Denzel Washington to Zimbabwe. Wow. In 1983. He spent here almost 6 months in Zimbabwe. The film, we shot it over 3 months, all over Zimbabwe. There's only one scene which was shot outside Zimbabwe. When you are looking at the film, when you view Cry Freedom, it's only the scene at of people going to. It is a scene of the coast, at the coast. That is the only scene that was shot outside. Yeah, but
so
the rest
the whole address by Steve Biko was done in the stadium here
in the stadium.
Zimbabwe.
Yeah, yes.
Wow. Okay.
In fact, I can tell you a very interesting incident from the stadium.
Okay.
we were filming the scene of the burial of Stephen Biko, and that was done in a stadium in South Africa. But here we used Chibuku Stadium in Chitungwiza.
Oh wow!
So we hired 20,000 extras
Right.
for that scene, and people arrived. They started arriving actually at 3 a.m. And when we started shooting, the very first scene we now had people. We had the first scene was Stephen Biko's brother addressing the crowd.
Right.
So he goes on this podium and he says, Amandla. Now, the 20,000 extras are Mazezuruzika.
Right.
in Chibuku Stadium, Chitungwiza.
Right.
And this is 1984.
Right.
And when you say Amandla, 99% of people
didn't know what you
they didn't know. And we've hired all these extras.
Yeah.
And he says, Amandla. Somewhere in one corner, someone says, Karuna. Another corner, someone says, Amandla. And the others were busy looking at each other. What are they saying?
He's saying, right.
Sir Richard Attenborough comes to me and says, Comrade, what are we going to do? These people, you people, they don't know the slogan.
Wow.
What are we going to do? And we've had 20,000 extras.
Right.
It was one of those moments when you're filming when it's really difficult. So quickly I had to do a quick thinking. I said, no, don't worry. Let's fix this.
Right.
So he said, okay, what do we do? So I said, okay, I changed. We got all the cameras to look at the crowd.
Right.
And I went on stage.
Right.
And I held the microphone. And I said, Pamberini. My gosh, there was a deafening uproar from everybody. Pamberi, and you know, in 1980,
right.
you couldn't afford not to say Pamberica.
Okay,
At that time, when they said Pamberini, everybody just would, Pamberi, and it was beautiful. I mean, and Sirisha said, how can you get them to do it more? So we said, no problem,
Right.
So at the end, so when you're watching Cry Freedom, most of the people, they are actually say Pamberini.
Wow.
We then got a few,
really clever, right?
just a few people here saying Karuna, Amandla, and so forth.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, there are some of the nice incidents that you remember, I can remember from some of these productions.
Right.
And anyway, like I say, I've been in almost 200 productions. Some of them are series.
Okay.
Like now, people know me as Mr. Huni.
Right.
From Studio
263.
Yeah, because of the role I played.
I mean, without knowing all that background, like when you started back in 1974, we wouldn't know really that you started from as far back as then. We knew you suddenly as
Mr.
Baba
Huni.
Huni, in Studio 263. Tell us about that production and, post-productions that came after that one.
Studio 263 was one of those groundbreaking productions. I had been working in Nigeria I went to work in Nigeria in 88. And by 2002, when we did Studio 263, I'd been doing productions with people here. It was in Nigeria when I got there, they were doing television productions throughout. In fact, in Nigeria, I'd worked on another production, Behind the Clouds, which I was part of as a guest artist and directing some of the episodes. So when I came back here, I realized what the Nigerians were doing, we could do.
Right.
The productions there were very popular. So I brought some, at that time there were VHS,
Yes, tapes.
VHS tapes, yeah. I brought those to Godwin Mauru,
Right.
and because I had been working on another 2 productions that I'd done with him. My first feature film, Fumaedu. And when he saw those productions, he decided that it was better for us to do a soap in Zimbabwe. So Aaron Chundra Moyo had written Muharare Amurarwe.
Right.
Yeah, which also was very good.
Okay.
As a script. But the challenge now was how to get it to become a soap.
Right.
So Godwin asked me to come and we worked on
So
it.
Marara became Studio 263.
263,
Right? Yes, because I
yes,
remember
yeah,
that
exactly,
name
yeah.
flying around it.
Yes,
sometime,
that's right, yeah. So Godwin Mauru and Arun Chundramoy, they worked on that. And it was wonderful. One of the ingredients that was powerful in Studio 263 was the theme song. Remember,
Yes.
Studio 263, yeah, which David Huni said
Did,
did,
yes.
yeah. It was really wonderful. Yeah, and the character, we had to create a character, a central character. That's how Huni came up.
Right.
Yeah, and it was nice because it was unexpected. I kind of knew because I'd been in Nigeria where I'd worked with other artists who really were popular with the people because of this soapy.
Yes.
And once we put in the script, the ingredients that make people want to watch it,
right,
it was there.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. So that's Baba Huni in the studio, Steven Chigorimbo. CHIKONAMOMBE wangu. I told you he's my father. So we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we want to go into the arts industry. Where are we? All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Zambeli, and we're coming to you in the studio with Baba Wango Steven Chigorimbo, also known as Baba Huni in Studio 263. We are talking about the arts industry in Zimbabwe. So I'll quickly go into it, Baba, and say, where is our industry right now? When you're asked to locate it, where are we? Are we doing the? Are we there?
Right. I'm glad you asked that question.
Right.
A lot of people have said many things. Some people have said there's no film industry in Zimbabwe. I can tell you straightforward with a straight face, we do have a film industry in Zimbabwe. It has serious challenges, but we have a film industry.
Right.
When we talk about an industry, we are talking about, do we have people who are able to make products,
right,
film products? Zimbabwe is endowed with people who are talented, who are able to make products,
right,
whether they are feature films, they are series, they are documentaries. There is news like the one we are doing right now.
Yes.
Zimbabweans are talented in that. Not only talented, there was a time when I started in 1984 when I was really almost the only black filmmaker,
Right.
Of course, I was fortunate because when I came in, there were Namkadota who were there. They were in film, but
Right.
people didn't recognize them as such because people, at that time, they were film and television were two different things.
Yeah.
Unlike now,
Yes.
it's the same
The
thing.
digital era.
The digital era is the same.
Get a camera and you're on.
Absolutely. Yes, we do have an industry now.
Yeah.
In terms of the crew are there. People who can operate cameras, who can operate broadcast equipment, who can operate screening equipment, who know how to operate sound, how to do these things. They are there. That's first ingredient. In the old days, we used to have a problem because there were no people who actually knew how to do that. I remember there was a time when we used to go and look for Temba Nyamweda because he was the only one who knew how to do sound, or we could go and look for, like when Godwin Mauru came in as a camera assistant, But now we do have crew. We also have actors,
right,
who are not just locally renowned actors. We have our own celebrities in terms of local. We now have international.
Right.
Exactly. Internationally, the Nana Gorillas, like you say, they are not Chirisas and so forth. We have them. And there are many more actually. Where Zimbabwe has exported people who are in the industry who are doing very well all over. South Africa is full of Zimbabweans, both on the crew and on the cast.
Right.
The Americas and elsewhere. Now, we have those ingredients. There's only one missing element.
Tell me about that one.
It's an institution that coordinates officially all these aspects.
Right.
What in other countries is known as, like in France, is the Cinematheque.
Right.
In Britain is the British Film Institute, or British Screen, or Screen Australia in Australia, or the National Film and Video Foundation in South Africa, or the American Film Institute. All over the world, the countries who have done well filmically have got these institutions.
So why don't we have one in Zimbabwe?
The main reason is because without film crew, without people who live off film, you don't have people to motivate it.
Why don't we have people who live off film again?
Now we have people who do that. In the past, we used not. Now we have the film who are in the business. But then the film who are in the business are the ones who must call on the authorities. They are the ones who ask the authorities, who demand from the authorities that such an institution gets in place. You know, it's like we have lots of farmers in Zimbabwe, right? So it's not surprising that we've got, in Zimbabwe, we have got people who are into agriculture. Right. Because we've got people who are farmers in Zimbabwe, we have got Agribank, and we've got Cold Storage Commission. We have got, because we've got people who consume other products, like people who consume electricity. So we have got ZESA, you know. Once the people who consume the product are there and people who can man it, then you are able to do that. So now the time is ripe. It's been ripe for a few years, I must say.
Right.
And the authorities have been called upon to put in place such an institute. And the authorities in Zimbabwe are responding to that right now.
I hope this is done soon. You know, one of the things that I've always loved, and I've never really shared with a lot of people, is I've always loved to act. I've always loved to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, sometimes you have to create the platforms to do that.
Absolutely.
But to actually act, you know, do movies and stuff like that, it's a passion for so many young people. But there doesn't seem to be a coordinated effort, and maybe it's because of the lack of that institute to help our film industry to actually grow. And I think the last time we had a conversation with some actors, they were complaining really that the environment, the economic environment, is not conducive for them to pursue acting wholly. What they've now resorted to do is they act because it's a passion. They still do that, but they are more focused on other things and in other areas, you know, so that they can at least put food on the table. Now, why is it that Zimbabwe's film industry is struggling so much just to, you know, take care of its own actors?
Like I said, right now, the people who are producing what people are watching on ZTV, they are actually paying for it. It's costing them. To be a producer costs you. I think you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
Let's take, for example, I'm working with Maramba at Easted Blues, who is producing Easted Blues. Now, to make a program today costs you an average of $4,000 to produce. When people go and watch today an episode of, if it was 263, now it's Easted Blues or any of these other productions. And Edin Lovu and Maramba and who are producing, it's costing them. On average, right now, when you put into play the cost of what you should be paying the director, the actors, the locations, transport, and so forth, right? When easily now we're talking about $4,000. ZBC, what you get from them, and at the moment, ZBC is not paying cash.
Right.
Which is, we are negotiating that they should do the same thing as they do in South Africa. South Africa, they pay because there are institutions that I've talked about that allow a production to borrow money and put into a production. So what happens at the end of the day, producers in Zimbabwe actually have to sell their houses, sometimes sell his car, take the money he's earning from whatever he does, like as an actor, I earn money from doing a production in South Africa. I take that money, is
And
what
you
I
come and
put,
do a
and
production.
that's what I use in my production.
That doesn't sound sustainable.
Absolutely, that's where the problem is. But so we're doing it because of the passion, because we like the business. But we talk to our wives, and they will tell you that where, you know, baba vanotora mari yavanorima kumunda yauya kuti vatengesa chibage yakuenda kunobhadhara chi my productions here. It's costing us money. It's causing problems because the actors who are coming in, they don't know that.
Right.
They when they hear you've earned some money, maybe I do an advert, and in the advert, it brings in let's say $200. You want to? Why are you not paying us from that?
But that's my money from my other.
Precisely,
Right.
yes. And with that, I've taken already half of it and put in this production. You know.
Wow.
Yeah. So that is the challenge. That's why it's very critical that we have government come in, put in place an actual institution that funds production.
Right.
How does that?
Have you, as actors, as filmmakers, and as producers, pushed for such an institution? Because I think the danger that is there is continually expecting government to do certain things when maybe they are not informed. I know there's a Ministry of Arts, Culture, and Sports. You know, it's a whole lot of things that one ministry has to do, and I think that also affect the way your industry then operates as well. Have you, as the Actors Guild or something, pushed through that proposition to say we want an institution that represents actors?
Right. We formed the first association of actors in 1984.
Right.
But like I said, the challenge was, you see, there were very few in the film business, other than those who had ZBC. And ZBC was people who were already employed by government, who had a salary. But the independents, those of us who were independents, we had other jobs that we were doing. And I was an insurance man, myself, insurance executive. And so my livelihood was coming from my other work as an insurance person.
Right.
But I was doing film as a passion. So the association was composed of people who already were earning incomes from elsewhere. But now we have a challenge because we have a whole lot of people whose livelihood has to come from this. On this. Yes, we've got the film and video associations. We've got the film. We've even got ZIFT, the Film Festival Trust. And through that, we've had the Film Guild. We've got a number of associations that represent filmmakers. And it's getting stronger, actually. And a few years ago, we engaged with government.
Right.
And the government, machinery in government is rather slow. You know, by the time we've convinced them that this is an industry. But now they recognize it as an industry. In fact, this new dispensation has also moved some. It has made us able to actually move quite a long way, to the point where, besides the Ministry of Arts that we have, Ministry of Information has been our main ministry, who have been doing a good job for us. But yes, we are moving towards having that institute put in place. We've had a lot of help from the National Arts Council of Zimbabwe, of course.
Right.
Yeah, but the National Arts Council has been in existence even during the colonial times. It's the changeover to the new dynamics that the country is facing. Right. But the potential from the film industry is massive. Today, as I speak, Nigeria took over as Africa's #1 economy.
Right.
Because of Nollywood.
Exactly. Can Zimbabwe get to that point? I mean, for me, the worry is, are we able to invest in that? Already, everything else is crumbling. I think we now, our fiscal space is really, really limited. And we've got the arts and entertainment industry also that needs to be looked at. I mean, you know what? We'll take a short break on this note. When we come back, we want to look at ways of augmenting and supporting the arts and entertainment industry so that it can become one of the economic drivers for Zimbabwe. Join us after this short break. Hello and welcome back once again. This is the last segment on In the Studio with. Today we have CHIKONAMOMBE Stephen Chigorimbo, aka Baba Huni, in Studio 263. Thank you so much for tuning in. We want to make sure that every time we engage in conversations, we're engaging in conversations that build our nations, conversations that develop our nation, and we do not want to leave any sector behind. Today, we are talking about the arts and entertainment sector with a specific look at the film industry. Now, Baba, we were asking this question before we took the break. Kuti, where we are right now, our industries are struggling, the space is shrinking. Now, what kind of mindset should investors have in order to make sure that our industry is, I'm not too sure if resuscitated is the proper word, because from the explanation already, it's just the passion that has been driving people. People have been selling houses in order to do productions. Producers have to fork out more than they're able to rake in. And yet when we look at Hollywood, we look at all those other international platforms for actors, those in the acting industry, those in the film industry are better resourced. Ndoma celebrities, got no celebrity all the time. They've got the resources. So what is wrong with Zimbabwe? What should be done?
Right. The first port of call is our national broadcaster. Because our national broadcasting station is already there.
Right.
Internationally, the empowerment of the arts comes from the national broadcaster for a few reasons. First and foremost, it's a vehicle that is already a government institution.
Right.
Right? So it drives the national agenda. So through that national broadcaster, the government can empower the arts by having a budget that is with our national broadcaster for them to pay money for local productions. Our broadcasters are paying money, are buying rights to screen products from outside, to screen football matches.
Right.
They're paying for that. Good money, right? Somebody, the national governments of countries from where those products are coming from, invested in them. And we are saying now the same thing. Through our national broadcaster, the government should channel in a fund where they say for productions, local productions, here's a fund for them.
Like they did with the 100% local content.
Precisely. But now they did 100% local content without the money. Now we want them to say, doesn't have to do 100% because we want to compete with the internet, because also we want our products to go outside. So 100% is not really very good for us. Okay. Sure, even if it's 50%, we're happy with that. They can buy products from outside, but those products will compete with us on a fair basis. Because when I'm producing a product and it's funded, my actors are getting paid, my directors are getting paid, my equipment is up to date, right? I can produce exactly the same quality as what is happening in South Africa or elsewhere. Then my product can compete fairly with those. And people will choose to say they want to watch this thing from Korea, South Korea, or they want to watch Eastern Blues, or they want to watch whatever local production that is there. So that's the first thing.
Right.
We need our national broadcaster to be empowered. There is talk now that there's going to be other competitors.
Yes,
but the competition is not what is important. What is important is not the competition. What is important is a fund like we've got Command Agriculture, for example.
Right.
We want Command Film.
Right. Okay.
That's what we want. You know, if we have that, we're in business, because then producers go there and say, I have this product, it's going to cost so much if I can get the money. And then it's made in such a way that when it's done, SABC want it.
Right.
Multi-choice want it.
Right.
As opposed to, we do a product, when you take it multi-choice, they say, well, this one, We know the vanotsenga mkanwa because it's not to the standard.
Is it not to the standard in terms of the quality of production, or is it the quality of the content? Like,
Quality of
tiri kugona here kunatso kunyora nyaya dzinotengeseka.
Zimbabweans are talented. They are, Zimbabweans, we've got story writers who are international.
Right. Yeah.
So by the same, and writing a script, it's just dramatizing the same stories. It's just dramatic. And we have a number of people in the country, admittedly not many, who know how to dramatize, but they're there, And once you've got the money, you can even bring from outside someone who is good at it. And we have our own people who are doing those things. I can't afford today to bring Dana Gurira on my production here. Because she would say, look, Baba, just pay for my ticket to come here. I can't afford it.
You can't afford to pay for the ticket.
But when there's a fund in the country that does that, it empowers me. We can bring them in.
I mean, the way you did, like Cry Freedom, for example, those are people that can come in and actually support, the industry. I remember I used to enjoy watching Sarafina, Whoopi Goldberg coming all the way from the States to do a production in South Africa. I think those are the kind of things that we would want. I'm not too sure. Maybe we'll just make a call out to Danai, Arnold, and all of you guys who are making it in Hollywood and elsewhere to also just, come back.
They would love to. All of them, we speak on speaking terms. They would love to come home and do something, but it costs them. The agents out there, and when you make it big in overseas, usually you have to have an agent.
Right.
It's a problem that I've had to deal with myself. When I'm coming home, I have to say to my agent, well, this is my national duty. So that's what we are doing. And a lot of people are doing that here. Because it's when you go out, you can make enough money. Right now, I go out, I work for a month. It's enough for me to come and be here for 6 months, a year. That's what I live off, And but like I say, number one, our national broadcaster has to be empowered. But number two, the institutes that I mentioned, the film bank, so to speak. But it's more than that, because we're going to pay for festivals must happen in the country, so that people can come, and we must have locally equipment. Our producers must be able to acquire equipment. There are rules and regulations that must be put in place that encourage that. Like I said earlier on, in fact, once you empower the artists, you are not only empowering one industry, because the arts drives the rest of the economy. Are you aware of that? That the arts actually drive the rest of the economy. Think of it this way: if you are a farmer, you go, you are plowing until matanga kuimba kuti sholoza and kana kunimbe dzairi kuimbwa kunoita kuti basa rifambe in every sphere, because the arts, it's being able to write literature, right? You got to write about even farming, even mining. You got to write about it's about dance, it's about singing, it's about music, it's about pictures, it's about sound. Once those issues are put together, the rest of industry actually drives much better.
Wow.
More successfully.
Baba, thank you so much for this conversation. I think we should have more conversations around our arts and entertainment industry, because clearly a lot still has to be done. A lot still needs to be done. Thank you so much, Zimbabwe, for joining us. We were in the studio. with Stephen Chigorimbo. He is a filmmaker. He is a director. He is a producer. He is an actor. He is a talent scouter. He is a mentor in the arts industry. And we need to build capacity around our own institutions. Like he said, let us put in place a film institute that makes sure that our product is pushed out there and is able to compete on the international market. Nollywood is doing it. Surely Zollywood can do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Thank you so much, Zimbabwe, for joining us. This is In the Studio, and today we're sitting down with Stephen Chigorimbo. Thank you so much, Baba, for coming through.
You're welcome, Mara.
Right.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, Romo Saka.
Yes.
Pasangana baba ne mwana. So thank you so much, Zimbabwe, for joining us. We appreciate your contribution. We appreciate your comments. Keep them coming. Keep us informed of what you also want to be informed with. Thank you so much for joining us. To the crew behind the scene, may you continue to shine. God bless you.